All right, we should be live right about now. We're gonna let YouTube pull it for a little bit, and I'm gonna get signed in to GitLab really quick. Um, so tonight we're gonna go over. We're gonna start it off with what I've been working on off stream, because I do actually spend a decent amount of time doing this. And then we're gonna get into improving the documentation. So thankfully, uh, so thankfully, I have a friend of mine that does IT work and has decided to test this out for himself. So I've gotten some really good feedback on our documentation, fix some bugs in there, and we're going to rearrange the inventory so it matches the documentation. So that way you're not like line 1 in this file isn't line 10 in another file and it's just an incoherent mess to deal with. Sorry, I'm just getting signed into GitLab here really quick. All right, Shift RMM. So let's go to issues. Let's go to closed. So let's zoom this in a bit and full screen it. There we go. That's a lot more legible. All right, so Telegraph install scripts. The Telegraph install script was not very well tested. I was missing a -y in one of the apt commands, which was causing the install script to just hang inside a mesh instead of because it required an interactive prompt. There was also some stuff in there that was a part of setting up syslog or smart stats, so that was kind of a problem. And it works on for sure Ubuntu 2004 and Debian 9. I don't really have a test environment for Ubuntu 2010, which was the other issue that user was having. Inventory cleanup, inventory cleanup's what we're working on tonight. There's another typo in there. I removed a script that was installing Mesh Central and Telegraph all in one shot. That was a previous decision that was to like, hey, let's just run one shell script or one PowerShell script and do everything. And then I realized it made way more sense to let Mesh Central manage pushing out Telegraph, because there might be a lot of use cases where I don't care about this laptop sitting out in a plant somewhere and what it's up to, if it's CPU spikes, if it gets low on disk because it's a glorified Chromebook joined to a Windows domain. But I still want to be able to remotely access it because it's far away from my desk. And then source and destination ports. Another friend of mine who's actually the replacement for my last job recommended that I redo the snort dashboard. So let's get a look at that really quick. 10. Crap. Good old automated updates. Shift systems, shift RMM. Keeping it real. Live streaming my Ansible playbooks, breaking Firefox for a minute. Alright, looks like we are experiencing some technical difficulties here. Yes. Sorry about that. Alright. Sorry about that. So let's go to my local mesh instance and you could probably get an idea as to what's going on. I'm going to pull it up off screen first, just to kind of hide some stuff. Monitoring stuff. I just want to make sure I'm not, exposing anything too important. So go over to our dashboards. And let's go to our PF Sense metrics. Sorry, I'm just getting the dashboard loaded in. Source IP. It's one problem. My network, I guess, isn't that interesting. So I don't get a ton of snort alerts. Perfect. All right. So there used to be a bunch of different snort panels because initially when I was building the snort dashboard, I wasn't really importing anything, or I really wasn't like managing it in the way it would be used. I was importing a whole bunch of previous data, so I had like 800 snort alerts. But then after using it a bit and getting some feedback, it's like, hey, you should probably grab like the source port and the destination port. And I'm like, that's a really good idea. I'm going to implement that. So, yay. So now instead of it being like, oh, it's by IP or oh, it's by like source and destination and method, it's just all rolled into this one dashboard instead of it being 3 or 4 different panels. I forget how much it was. Too damn many. So it gives you the vulnerability that it was trying to grab, how it found it, the source port, the source IP, the destination port, and the destination IP. Pretty simple stuff. It doesn't break it out by interface yet. I'm debating if that necessarily matters or if you can deduce that. But if you do have problems, please throw them up on GitLab or find us on the Shift Systems Matrix where I will put that information down in the doobly-doo. I also added which feeds you are blocking from in here as a part of this commit. Turns out I had much more real estate on this single page dashboard when I knocked out 3 panels and squished them all into one. So I was able to put out which feeds you're actually getting hit by. So is it geo? Is it your spam IPs? Or, can I get rid of this feed that I keep on downloading and it only blocks 8 IPs? So, yay. All right. Let's move on to the next issue. Inventory cleanup closed. All right. Source and destination port. This was just a simple syntax bug. I had accidentally added in like a from email and a to email, and I essentially had the email address defined twice and didn't take it out, and I didn't notice it from my inventory because that bug was still there, even though I've removed it in the one in Git. So when someone else tested it, it broke. And then adding syslog support. This is a bit of a sore subject for me. So right now, Telegraph doesn't natively support exporting from the systemd journal. That is something that, Promtail is what Loki uses from Grafana, and JournalBeat, the Elastic agent, can kind of lord over it right now. And it's kind of a tricky thing because in order to get really good log information from there, just using out-of-the-box behavior, from my understanding, you have to run as root to get like useful information out of the systemd journal. So if I go here and I do journal CTL -b, I get a bunch of stuff about like my icon theme and my rice being weird, right? Not a whole lot of useful information, and it's just mostly user data. This isn't telling me like what the kernel's doing or anything like that. It's just a bunch of user space stuff. Like, oh, cool, I'm missing this icon pack. Great. Super important for security, right? But if I do journal CTL, you know what? Sudo bang bang. So let's run that same command, but as sudo, so as root. Hey, look at this. I'm getting all this very useful information about the kernel, as it's booting up. Syslog can't really grab it as late. So this is something I want to deal with. Along with the kernel, should show some other stuff at boot. SE Linux, probably important to grab stuff like that. And it's kind of all in one place, which is why it's nice to grab. The other nice thing is that you can grab that as JSON too, and you get a whole bunch of rich data from there. So I would eventually like to add journal logging, but for now we just have syslog, and it is supported via pushing it out via script on Linux. For Windows, I'm gonna look into the event log. It's a plugin that is being added in Telegraph in the next release. So I'm gonna wait for that before I start playing with it, and kind of going more towards like a sim direction. Kind of what got me started on it was trying to pull smart stats, and that's kind of where that went. Smart template, we'll talk about that one. Syslog, Deadman check for pfSense. So I've actually been going ham on alerts lately, as you can see right here in alerts. I've been trying to add everything in for each, how should I put it? Each type we support, so each like product we support. So for Linux, we have high CPU, high RAM usage, a dead man check. Hey, the host hasn't responded in 5 minutes, should probably do something about that. Low disk space, and it does exclude things like temp, which is nice. pfSense high CPU, RAM, that's all fine for pfSense Windows and Linux, because the way I had set those up was that they're just using the native Telegraph plugins, and there's a stat you can pull very easily where it's system load 5, where there's metrics for like low RAM and low CPU built in a fashion where it's either when it gets close to 100 or when it gets close to 0. So it's really easy to build in. The problem is Proxmox doesn't, or the way I set up Proxmox is that it doesn't natively use that. It does its own thing, which makes it really cool, interesting, because you get like LXC information, you get KVM information, you get a whole bunch of useful stuff. But the problem is that you can't do math on alerts yet. So if I go down to, let's go to Explore in a different tab to explain this. So if I go into Proxmox, let's explain how it works on other platforms first. So if I go to memory, there's a used percent option, and let's just check this on my GitLab server, or when. Hey, look, I can see how much RAM is being used in a given amount of time. And then for the alert for that, it shoots out a warning when it gets below 25 and 10. Pretty simple to deal with. But now let's try to do the same thing in Proxmox. Or was it memory or CPU? I think it was memory. So I get the amount of memory used. I don't get it in a percentage. So what does 25 gigs mean in a hypervisor? Like nothing in a lot of cases. You could have hypervisors with hundreds of gigabytes of memory. So is 25 a lot? Or is it like a small business with a DC and a file server? So you don't get that percentage information to get a good alert, and I can't really do math in the alert panels. But otherwise, Windows, Linux, and pfSense, I'll get that in there. I'm actually going to make a ticket for that now. I'll make an issue for that here in a second. But yeah, the tricky part is normally, like I have a panel for that, but it does math, and you can't use the script editor and get all the GUI goodness. You can write a custom task that uses the Flux query that you wrote, but you can't do it in the GUI, and that's a really bad user experience. So, all right, Deadman check for pfSense, update alert messages. So now when you go to an alert, so you get Windows high CPU usage, and you actually get it on the host. You don't get it, you don't get an alert that just says, hey, this thing has low CPU. There's a vendor that we have to deal with at work that like they just give you the IP address, and I'm like, cool, this is very contextual and helps a lot. Um, so yeah, having that host name is pretty valuable. And that's on basically everything. I pull the host name in because if you don't know where it's happening, it's darn near useless information, or you're probably going to spend more time chasing after that information than you are fixing the problem. All right. Simple grammar fix. Thanks, Aquila, for helping me out with that, and updated alert messages. So that's everything we got fixed. So let's look at open issues. Inventory cleanup. That one is definitely going to work. All right, that's definitely something we can work on tonight while we work on another issue. Let me get signed into GitLab again. Copy. All right. Let me turn off stylus so you can actually see what's going on. Ah, the light. It burns my eyes. It burns my eyes so. All right. So, I need to add a couple of things like what the heck is an influx token in the influx org, and I need to explain some stuff for Serpbot. But while we do that, I'm going to set up a CentOS box and go through that install process really quick so that way I can get Telegraph scripts up and running for that. So let's get signed into Proxmox and get going. 0.3, that one. Alright, so I did set up a machine called Zeke. We'll see what it's up to. Yay! I already cooked the turkey. So really all I need to do, I'm pretty sure, is in the script I'm already using CentOS, so I just need to install mesh on this guy really quick. And let me know if like the font's too small on anything. And then, did I make this a Kimi machine? But yeah, this machine's literally just here for, hey, I need to make sure that all the stuff in Fedora isn't too new for what's on CentOS. Control. Alright, cd repos shift rmm. So come on, little CentOS box. What's your darn problem here? Hardware, SCSI, everything looks good here. 1 socket, 2 cores. Okay, it's thinking. It's trying its best. Ah, yes. Accept that good old licensing. Finish configuration. So where we're going to be at tonight is nvim scripts install so where we're going to be at is cd scripts Linux. Yep. Telegraph install.bash. So basically what we need to do is, okay, cool, I am using the CentOS repository. I'm assuming CentOS 8 because I don't want to deal with supporting really old CentOS boxes. If there's customer demand for it, totally going to do it. but for now we're just going to assume it's CentOS 8 or newer. Skip. Start using CentOS. So now what we need to do is go to the terminal, and we need to cat etc os-release id CentOS. So I wonder if there's a better way of doing the like thing. So like the easy way to do it right now is this bash script pulls in ID, and then hey, if the ID is one of these things, do it. So like the easy and obvious way would be to do insert, we're gonna pipe, we're gonna do CentOS. But what if I'm using Red Hat? What if I'm using something like FreePBX, which is a RHEL appliance, which might rip out the ID? So let's SSH into some stuff here. So we're gonna boom remote engage. Let's go to a different terminal here. Go to stream, and then I'm gonna cat out etc os release. Pipe rep like let's do a grep I. Yeah. So that's kind of the problem, is like there's not like a good standard way to grab the OS without like hard coding a bunch of stuff. Yeah, that's the crappy part. So for now we'll just deal with it like this and put it in CentOS, escape, right click. Alright, so now we need to get Mesh Central on this guy. So let's go to Firefox. And actually, I'm going to show you something. The nice thing about this is that it's still a really easy install process. Even though we don't have a GUI. So let's say this is just a dumb little Linux server here, and we just go over to our Mesh Central instance, and we have a little link to this. So I'm going to copy this over to my clipboard. Where are you, little Proxmox instance? There we go. We're going to... Oh, crap. IPA. Did I accidentally make this a hypervisor? 153. So let's enable SSH, system, CTL, enable SSH, SSHD. There we go. And then, wait, isn't it enable now? There we go. Sage local user at 10.0.0.153. And hey, look at that. We have that in Mesh. So now let's test out our script in Mesh and see if we can get anything reporting. 10.0.0 error. That one. Then we have Zeek over here. Let's go to our plugins. And let's go to our script and edit it. I'm going to edit this off camera really quick since I do have a token in there. And let's get CentOS. I notice everywhere else I don't have spaces in that pipe, which probably matters. So now we're just AC, save, close, edit. Save, damn you. Edit. There we go. Alright. Bring this back over. Can join the rest of the tabs. So now let's run this on Zeek. And now we play the waiting game. And while that's running, let's make a new issue. Come up with pricing. So I plan on doing everything in GitLab and only making things private as necessary. And one thing I actually really do not like about the IT industry a lot, call us for pricing, contact us for pricing. Hey, do you have 30 minutes to get on the phone and talk about a product you have to review 30 of before you can even make a decision? I really don't like that. So I want to make things simple with pricing. So I'm pretty sure I have a model that I like. And again, this is a public issue. So if you have anything you want to comment about, please comment. Start the repo. Participate. Help. All right. Pricing model will be per managed instance and per customization. EX. Managing a single instance of mesh and InfluxDB, or a mesh is X dollars, or I dollars, use loops. An instance of Influx will be J dollars, and an instance of both will be K dollars. Customization and scripting will be billed at customizations are going to be flat. Scripting, that's hourly. I have no good idea how to bill that. And like, if it's a weird custom line of business app, I don't want to be like, hey, flat rate for this, and then just totally lose my butt on it. So, will be billed per unit. Will be billed one time per unit, and scripting will be billed hourly. Because I don't have good tooling for that yet. Subject to change. Pricing model will be managed per instance per month. So yeah. Also, I understand why you would need like one of the tools, but not either. So if you only want InfluxDB pre-canned, so you can augment your existing monitoring system, totally get it. If you don't have a bunch of servers, but you don't want to get up from your desk to do desktop support, totally get why you would want to use Mesh Central. And if you don't want to deal with monitoring, I totally get it. Even though this is batteries included, there's still going to be some tuning. Totally get it. So yeah, we build per unit. Per unit would be like per dashboard, per device. Should probably say where a unit is a dashboard or platform. Platforms are where we're going to use. So like Linux is a platform we monitor. Proxmox is a platform we monitor. Windows is a platform we monitor. But yeah, pricing is important. I just need to put numbers to it and update the website. So I plan on managing like boring stuff in here too, like the admin work, not just code. I love GitLab because it's actually a really good productivity tool as well. All right. So back to our scripts. Says it failed, but the Data Explorer shall be our judge on that. So let's go in here. Let's go to Linux and host. Zeke, my boy. Zeke's here. Woot woot. You know, let's make it look pretty. Let's put Zeke in a dashboard. Yeah, there we go. This doesn't have any results. Oh, that sweet, sweet service panel dashboard. I love it. Love it. All right. So we have CentOS down, and I'll deal with Red Hat off stream. That's probably just going to be hey, let's add a different string in there. I'll try to find a better way to figure out what distribution we're running in an elegant way, but that's totally going to be tricky. So let's go back in here. CentOS added. Still need to test on real machine. Red Hat can be kind of a pain in the ass to test because you have to download a Red Hat image, which means you have to sign into a customer portal. But, oh well. Could be much worse. Could be Windows, where you have to, like, download the ISO using their tool. I hate those. I just really am not a fan of that. So, alright, we're at a good stopping point. I need to show my stream really quick. Share. Copy. Yes. Shutter at Windows. Shutter at Windows. Windows is a little brutal. Dang. Oh, my buddy's making me jealous. I'm showing the stream out to a couple of friends, and my friend's making me a bit jealous. Dang it, where is he? I know I message him like every day. There we go. There we go. All right, and we're back. So now let's clean up my documentation. I'm going to be typing unsupervised. This could get dangerous. Let's pull up code where I actually have grammar tools installed. Yeah, being big-brained and using Nano's cool and all, but should probably do the responsible thing. Okay. So let's go to code. Let's go to here. We don't necessarily care about this. CentOS is there, cool. And in the same way, let me just clean up the white space because Bash is super sensitive about that. Alright, don't need the influx template, don't need that, and we need the README open, and we need our sample inventory open. Where is our inventory? Hey, there we go. Split right. So, as my cousin pointed out, we don't really, like, make much of the host section, but I know influx token, leave empty for now. We will add our influx token in another step. Alright. Leave empty for now. We'll add an influx token after InfluxDB has been installed. Influx underscore org. Leave as shift systems unless you want to edit a bunch of scripts later for branding. So, the influx org. I leave the org as shift systems just because you have to pass it in org. Otherwise, it won't go to the right place in InfluxDB because now InfluxDB is multi-tenanted. So you have to give it an org. You have to give it a bucket. So I leave it as shift systems and just leave it as one tenant. If you really want branding, you can replace shift system as your org, and you're going to have to replace shift systems in your scripts and inside of the influx template. So do you? I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I wouldn't recommend doing it, but yeah. All right. Next, the host section. Ansible connection. Oh wow, yeah, this really is out of order. Requires you have one host where you want to use separate hosts for InfluxDB, Mesh Central. I'm probably going to have hey Max, thanks for showing up to the stream. All right. The host section requires you have one hostware. The hell's a hostware? One host name. Your software will be installed. If you want to use separate hosts for InfluxDB, copy the host block and change all components you want installed on that box to true. Very verbose, and oh my, this can be capitalized. The host section requires you have one host name where software will be installed. If you want to use separate hosts for InfluxDB and Mesh Central, comma, copy the host block and change all components you want installed in the box to true for each host. Yeah, before I commit this, I will definitely go under grammar review because, you know, I can't type. Okay. So now we need to order everything. And then under that, oh no, not under that. Ansible name or software would be installed. So I think I should change it so that all components you want to be installed. Copy the host block. Each line below that. If you guys have suggestions for how we should change that, please drop them in chat. The host section requires you have at least one host name or software can be installed. List the component. There we go. List the components that make up Shift RMM. Shift RMM. True means it on, and false means turn it off. Pretty simple. Yeah, it's very verbose. We'll circle back to that, as the kids would say. All right. So now let's go influx FQDN, Grafana FQDN, Mesh Central FQDN. There we go. Control X. I'm going to assume that the inventory is in the right order. I don't want to breathe on the inventory and break stuff. Nginx. Is there not a... Seriously? There's not a line for Nginx? Wow. This grammar needs some help. Okay. Yeah. Was that actually in the doc? Influx org, influx token. Influx org, influx token. Explain all. All right. Let's go back to code. I did not add a line for Nginx. So after the last FQDN, Ansible connection. Oh, okay, perfect. Not to use Nginx and a reverse as a reverse proxy on all hosts. You are on a LAN since this. If you are not using this on a public server. There definitely needs to be some work put into Mesh Central and making it work on a LAN. So for now, we'll leave it as this. The reason why it's an option is I understand people have things like HA proxy and traffic they might want to throw this behind. Like I run it in my lab / my production environment with HA proxy and pfSense. So very, very reasonable use case. Ansible connection. Yep. All right, so from email needs to be certbot email, the email address used for Let's Encrypt Cert. Perfect. Ansible Python interpreter needs to go right next to Ansible connection. There we go. Could use Ansible or not to work. Wait, crap. Crap! Nginx. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm getting turned around in my own inventory a bit. We'll get this done and then I'll take it off stream so I could help out with some grammar stuff unless Akilo wants to jump on here with me. Whether or not to use Nginx as a reverse proxy, Ansible connection goes all the way to here. Ansible Python interpreter goes right underneath it, or goes right above it. Ansible connection, Ansible Python interpreter. And then this is going to be certbot email. Welcome text and footer text are not there. Whoops. So after the Ansible stuff, title text needs to get filled out, and welcome text needs to get filled out. So what the title text is, I guess I have to sign out to get it. Where does the title text actually show up? I'm not even entirely sure. Yeah. It's basically a tagline that shows up on the login page. Tagline that shows on the login page. Did I do like the footer text either? Oh wow. Footer text. That shows on main page. That capitalization, what the hell? Main page, welcome text, certbot. And I'm putting this in the wrong place too. The worst part about like grammar and stuff is like the document still functions even if it's not correct. That's the thing I hate most about grammar is like there's no immediate like, hey, you done goofed. You kind of have to wait for somebody to tell you that your fly is down kind of situation. It hurts a bit. It hurts my fifis. Title text, welcome text. Title text. Alright, so title text. Welcome text. And then we have footer text HTML that displays on the bottom left of every page. So mail host. Oh, crap. There we go. Mail host. From address, email username, email password, influx token, influx word. Booyah! Alright, so after the stream's over, I'm going to go over that one with Aquila, because yeah, that definitely needs some grammatical work. I am not very good at the typing or the English. Certbot, yep. Oh, nano. Highlight changing mesh info. Nano to edit the correct inventory. So something really funny that happened is that my cousin, when he set this up, he pasted in the commands, or he edited the inventory directly instead of editing everything right on the spot. So, yeah. So I need to, inventory. Then, all right. Place logo PNG. You can run Mesh Central and InfluxDB on separate hosts. Oh. So if you want to use your own logo, place your own image, you can run Mesh Central. So I kind of highlight that above in the host block where it makes more sense. It will install Nginx on both hosts. Yeah, that's kind of described elsewhere in the document now, so I can get rid of it. So yeah, we can kind of just leave that there. Or yes, I don't know. You can run Mesh Central on separate host. I guess having that explained elsewhere in the document and being slightly redundant, probably better than not being redundant. And explaining like how Nginx does stuff on the host probably makes a lot more sense too. All right, to prevent conflicts, I recommend copying the Ansible inventory. Okay. By running nano by running 123 nano / inventory. Woo woo. Yeah, I am definitely a huge fan of checking of the tick boxes in GitLab. It actually started when I was grocery shopping with my lady friend. And she was using... So I have GitLab for personal stuff because I'm weird and enjoy Kanban boards for doing productive stuff like mowing the lawn and my chores. And it was like, hey, babe, let's make the grocery list. And she does it in Apple Notes. And I'm like, yo, babe, the hell? We have a system for this. We live in a society with rules, darn it. Why can't we do this? And it's like, but my tick boxes. And I'm like, we should look this up in GitLab. And so now when I use grocery shopping, now when I go grocery shopping, I get to use checkboxes in GitLab, which makes things way better than doing strike throughs and having to like go through all the special characters on a phone keyboard. It's terabad. Absolutely terabad. Host section, yeah. And then inventory. Do not edit the inventory, the repo. This will cause problems later. There, I think the caps lock kind of sinks it home really well. Stat for nano, add note for Mesh Central cannot push O. Oh, yeah. And then I think there was like tests.example.com somewhere in here too. So that one we can take off. It's kind of hard to do this on one monitor. Like I have a second monitor here. So it's like really annoying to not use it. But oh well, I'll live. Add a note that Mesh Central cannot push out scripts. Out of the box Mesh Central cannot push scripts to nodes. Push scripts. If a plugin needs to be installed. So to do this, yeah. Thankfully, there's a really good editor watching the stream right now who will maybe help me out with this on a branch on Friday. So yeah. Editing documentation, like, it's time consuming, it's hard, and like doesn't get enough respect. And if you can't code, but you have some technical knowledge and a ton of like grammar skills, help out with documentation. Developers don't always make the best documenters because they wrote the software, so they'll make a lot of assumptions in their head about like the way it works. Like, I made the assumption that you just need the scripting plugin without describing why Mesh Central needs a plugin for PowerShell scripts. I just know that because I've set Mesh up tens of times. And it's just in my head, well, if I want to push out Telegraph, I need the scripting plugin. That's not necessarily built into the product. So you have to put a plugin in to do it. Highlight changing mesh info. So generating tokens, import. Whenever you run this playbook, to update Mesh Central or to update Shift RMM. Shift RMM. This will import the latest version of the influx template. For Mesh Central integration to work correctly, please change the mesh info variable from test.example.com. I don't know. Is that last one my cousin not reading, or is it like it's not emphasized enough? I don't know. I guess it can make it caps. Yeah, caps. And then shift -RMM. So let's go to mesh _info. Please change the mesh info variable. Let's do it like this. Please change the mesh info variable from test.example.com to your domain by clicking on settings variables mesh info. Yeah. Yes, I know that's a manual step that's in every update, but yeah, we're pushing on the hour mark. Definitely going to save this. And yeah, if you guys have any more questions, I'm very, very happy that we have people watching the stream. Share it out there. Get the word out that there's a decent open source RMM coming on the scene and that you don't have to have a bunch of proprietary garbage controlling your network. So with that said, it was really nice streaming. I'll definitely advertise it a little more next time, and it was good hanging out with you guys. Have a good night.